Hi, and welcome to That Board Game Show, a podcast all about tabletop gaming with two players. I'm Sonia Wood.
And I'm James Wood. And in today's 29th episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking to you about Tiny Epic Tactics, a cooperative or competitive game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Scott Elms and published by Gamelin Games.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Gamelin. And in case you don't know, because maybe you haven't listened to this podcast before, but cooperative gaming is our thing, mostly. We do play other games. So when we played Tiny Epic Tactics, we played it cooperatively.
Yes.
And you've also played it solo, and you did the video, didn't you?
Yeah, I've just recently put up a video on the TBGS YouTube channel for Tiny Epic Tactics showing you the solo mode, which is very similar to the 2-player cooperative. So it's quite interesting. It's basically broken into, I think there's like 5 game modes. So there's the solo game, there's a 2-player cooperative game specifically, and basically that is just 2 people playing the solo mode simultaneously.
Yeah.
Then there is a competitive mode, and then like a free-for-all battle mode, and all sorts of things. And basically, at its core, it is a tactical combat game. So you got the little 3D terrain and
So clever.
grid map, and each person controls 4 heroes, characters, and you're running around the map trying to capture flags. And
It's absolutely brilliant. I am so impressed with this guy, Scott. I hope he hears this podcast, because I want to say thank you, brilliant man. He's actually taken this little box and he's put other little tinier boxes inside the tinier box. And the board game mat or play area, you turn the little boxes upside down and the other way around, and you go hunting for jewels. And it's just incredible. So we've recently been on a road trip. In fact, we just got back from our road trip. And what did we take with us? Some of the Tiny Epic games, because they're perfect for that, because they take up a little bit of space.
perfect travel size games.
But it might be small, but it's a lot of game. Would you agree? A lot.
Yeah, they always, I don't know how they manage to cram so much game into such a tiny box.
So
It's always
impressive.
quite an achievement. And they keep coming out with new ones all the time as well. So
I was just going to say I was about to say there's a variety of these Tiny Epic games. And we've played, I don't know how many there are, but I know I've played about 5 different ones at this stage.
yeah, I'd have to
We'd have to do.
board game geek it to see the full list of all of them. There's a lot.
But you put up the video for the whole explainer video of Tiny Epic Tactics last week.
Yeah, so that should give you a good sense of how the game plays, and I did my best in that video to explain not just the solo mode, but how the multiplayer modes would work as well. So it's not the sort of game that I'm particularly good at. I find those tactical combat things, I tend to stumble over myself quite a bit and realize, oh, whoops, I should have done this and that and the other. And oh, maybe if this character was here next to that character, then that would have been a better move over there. And
But my question, Jamie, is do you have fun when you're playing the Tiny Epic games?
always.
Always. So there you go. I think that makes it that you're good at it.
Yep.
For me, I measure being good at a game the level of fun you had. And thus far, I must say that when we play board games, we have fun.
Yeah.
Even though they might not be our ideal. Like, I don't like combat games myself personally, but that doesn't mean I can't have fun when I'm playing the game, especially if it's cooperative, because it's quite funny actually, because I try to leave the shooty to other people and I end up being the shooty
Always
somehow.
ends up managing to craft the perfect little raging barbarian that runs around and wipes out half the map all by herself.
It happens. It does happen like that. Yeah. But talking about having come back from a road trip, we just recently, in fact, the last couple of days, shot down to Durban. We live in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. And we went down to Durban to meet with people about doing the merch side of that board game show, because Jamie has recently put a whole lot of merch, T-shirts and mugs and water bottles and whatever else, on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, it's on a Spring shop, so it's basically a company that allows you to do this very easily, where all I have to do is submit the graphics and art and things to this website called Spring, and then they create a little That Board Game Show merch store which I can then integrate with YouTube. So now on all the YouTube videos, you'll see if you scroll down a bit, if you're browsing on a desktop, that you'll see the little thumbnails for the different products on YouTube itself. And then if you click one of those, it takes you to the Spring store, and then you can buy your That Board Game Show t-shirts and mugs and things to show your support and loyalty to what it is we're trying to do out here.
And you'll notice that there's a little tagline that says, spreading the joy of tabletop gaming. So you've done some designs for t-shirts that say, spreading the joy.
It's been our little in-house mantra, I guess, for the channel for all the years, and trying to get that a bit more out there as a official tagline.
And so, because that that merch is available through Spring, it's in dollars and it's quite expensive.
Yeah, so
us
Spring is
South
based
Africans,
in the US, naturally.
But us South Africans, if somebody who is watching your YouTube channel in South Africa,
or listening to the podcast,
and they're interested in some of this merch, then it's going to cost them a lot of money, we think, here in South Africa because of all the conversions and rah.
Yeah.
So that's why we went to Durban to speak with some people that can make the same merch available. Similar. We're trying.
We'll see.
We'll see what comes about. But that's what we went to Durban for, to talk to them about it and show them what we are wanting to achieve. So we've been little busy beavers behind the scenes here, making merch for board gaming. Wow.
And if you have any ideas for clever board game quotes, send them in.
Definitely.
Comment on this podcast in the comment section of whatever podcast player you're listening to, or on YouTube. This podcast does also go out on YouTube, so you can just leave suggestions in the comments below.
Suggestions what? For putting on the t-shirts and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be nice to hear from people what they might have thought of, something that they would like to be on a t-shirt.
Something you think would be a fun slogan or quote or something to broadcast this awesome hobby.
Yeah, get more people playing board games. That's what we would love. We played board games last weekend with Simon, who does the Read the Card series, and you filmed a few videos. So those will be coming.
Of those in the pipeline. Currently working on the edit for my solo showcase run-through, playthrough thing for Underwater Cities.
You also did a box organizing or unboxing of Underwater Cities. So there's 2 Underwater Cities videos coming. But what I was going to say about Simon is I asked him the question, so what is your thing with board games, Simon? What is it all about for you? And he said, I'm a board game evangelist. And he's all about just spreading this hobby because he so enjoys it. And he then went on to say all the good things about what board games do. And I mean, I've heard a lot of people chat about the various different positives of board games, playing board games as a group, board game group. Some people have their little board game groups. This board game podcast is about, that board game show podcast is actually focusing on 2-player.
Well, yeah, because we primarily play 2-player games because we live
in the same house,
many hours away from our nearest board game club that we could get together.
And so we are mother and son, and we just play board games together.
Play games, yeah.
And Daddy-O, he's not a big gamer.
No.
So it just shows you. So it's everybody
We've
to
tried.
their own. Yeah, we tried to get him. He plays under duress every now and then with his arm twisted around his back. But that's not the way. Board games need to be something that people want to do and love to do. And we are those people that love to play board games. In fact, truth be known, I find myself morphing into some sort of other personality when I play board games. I really do. I get so immersed that I totally lose myself in the game. And everything else just disappears. That's what it does for me. I mean, board games for me is an absolutely marvelous, wonderful, amazing place for me to go sit down and let everything else that's been happening or going on around me just disappear, and it all becomes about the game.
Yeah, just let the world melt away around you.
And we have so much fun. Well, would you say? I always have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself getting a bit too analytical and lost in the making sure we're doing everything right mode.
Well, because you're the rules guy, Jamie.
But then I suppose I do find that fun as well. So
Yes, I asked Jamie a while ago, what do you like most about board games? And he says, reading the rule book. And so that's what your fun is. Your fun
learning
is
a new game. I love wrapping my head around a new system, a new rule set, a new,
And your fun is the rules. So when I'm playing a game and getting so utterly lost in the theme, it's been becoming quite a joke now between us, because I will be so lost in the theme and Jamie will go, you can't do that. And I go, who says I can't? Because it's like, this is what I'm doing now. Okay, don't you interrupt my flow. And he
don't
goes,
interfere with my gameplay with your rules.
yes. And he goes, well, but you can't do it. And I say, who says? And he says, the rule book.
The designer. The person who created this thing.
Yeah. So he has huge respect and regard for the designer, and he thinks if this is how they want it to be done, and they've done lots and lots of play testing, because you also do play testing yourself for designers.
So I've seen the other side. I know how much time and effort goes into refining and tweaking and testing.
And you help with the editing as well. And you go, oops, okay, problem over here and problem over there. And so then he doesn't like it if I break the rules. I don't call him breaking the rules. So I just call him having fun and playing the game however I want to. So it's very, very different. It's a very different approach to it.
Yeah.
We on both like opposite
of
sides of the scale, really. Yeah.
Yeah, your approach, I'd say, is much more akin to RPG mindset.
Oh, right.
Because that's very common in the sort of RPG
universe
community and things, is the rule book is just a guideline, take from it what you want. But I think that's because in that world you typically have a GM, a game master running the game, and so they will use the rule book to craft and create an adventure. Whereas in board games, that's typically being done for you. The designer, the publisher, the play testers, they've created that system, they've created that structure, they've created that adventure. So it's not really as freeform, I don't think.
But I make it freeform, whether it's meant to be or not. It just
you turn
happens.
Every game into an RPG.
Even real-time games or I don't know, while we went down to Durban this weekend, it's not even the weekend, but yet where we are in this moment in time, this week, we took little games and we played Fuse, which is a real-time game where you are trying to defuse bombs. Well,
actually the precursor to Flatline, which we've recently filmed a video for.
Yes, but
so that too shall be coming soon.
Yeah, that too shall be coming soon. That one we filmed you and I playing Flatline.
So you can see firsthand what happens to Mom when she's put in front of a real-time game.
Yes, and so we played this Fuse and the dice were going on the floor, even though I've got a dice and a lovely dice tray. Oh, I want to tell the people about our nice dice trays because we've got these nice dice trays. They can see them on the videos now.
Yeah.
And they are made proudly in South Africa. But anybody, anywhere in the world can get them. In fact, Emperor's Workshop, those are the guys at the website where you can get them from.
Link in description.
They actually send them everywhere in the world. So Jamie was looking for playmats and dice trays locally.
Because you can find all sorts of companies all over the place making playmats for all shapes and sizes and custom mats for different games. But I was hunting to find anything local because shipping to South Africa is an ordeal.
So let me tell you, for him to find something in South Africa is very rare. So we celebrate when we find something locally. It's a big deal for us. Okay,
especially when it's something as niche as board game tabletop playmats.
It's a rare find. So we found them, and they are called Emperor's Workshop. And anyway, what they did, you put a link,
Yep.
For that, yes.
Link in description.
Okay. So what we did, what Jamie did, I shouldn't say we, he found them and then he went to look for a video to see if he could find anything more about them, because that's how we research. And he did find somebody somewhere in Europe, Sweden,
or Denmark,
somewhere.
or something like that.
And here's this guy busy going, oh, look at my nice dice trays that I got from Emperor's Workshop based in South Africa. And we go, oh, yay, we're in South Africa. Anyway, long story short, Jamie connected with them, and now that board game show, dice trays, play mats, and all the rest are available on Emperor's Workshop, and they can distribute those anywhere in the world.
Anyway.
And you can get it in South Africa directly if you happen to be South African and you would like to know where to get play mats and stuff. Well, there's a local provider.
And they're very, very, very good quality.
I was about to say
detail of the print is exceptional. We bought a couple of their just standard ones, which have also featured on the videos. I used one in the recent Underwater Cities video.
That's coming.
Yeah, I used their standard Stormy Ocean playmat.
That worked well.
Which worked really well. Stormy Ocean, Underwater Cities.
And the design, as you say, and the quality is superb. Not just the print quality, but the actual quality of
the actual mat itself. Yeah, it's very, very good.
Fair to say that we are very impressed and satisfied and happy. Happy customers we are. So, back down to Durban. There we were in Durban playing Fuse, and even though we have a dice tray, I was managing to have the dice bounce out of the tray and go
across
bounce
the floor and under the fridge,
tile floor and under the fridge, and it wasn't supposed to be there because it's supposed to be in the dice tray because we've got only this short amount of time to diffuse the bomb. So I want to just pause it. Just pause it, Jamie. Pause the timer. I need to find the dice. He goes, it doesn't work like that.
A real-time game.
Yeah. You throw the dice on the floor, you got to collect the dice.
When the bomb's ticking down and it's about to blow up in your face, you can't just push pause and tell, no, hold on, bomb, let me go look for my dice.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a lot of fun. 2-player game with Fuse, which was a small box game. Loads of fun. I think you've done a video for that one already, actually.
I have. Link in description.
Okay, I will talk about the things and you can just tell the people that
I'll just stand here and say, link in description.
Link in description.
Whenever it's relevant.
Yeah. Okay, so that was in Durban. We also played Game of Trains in Durban. That little tiny little boxy.
And I think Heinz done a video for that one.
Maybe. Well, if it's on that board game show, you will put
link in description.
Okay, and you also did some solo gaming while I was doing other things.
Because always,
yeah.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. Any gap you get.
I've got time.
Out comes the solo game.
Speaking of merch, didn't you see a T-shirt that said, I think it was video games, but it was like, the perfect day. Wake up, play games.
Have
Eat breakfast, play games.
Yes.
Have lunch, play games.
Eat
Have
dinner,
play games. Sleep.
That is a perfect day.
Yep. Minus the sleep part. It would be nice if we could jettison that and just keep playing games.
Not worry about sleep.
Yeah.
Or food even, really. Yeah. Okay, well, talking of which, now you're mentioning not eating and not having to sleep. I do need tea, so I'm off to put the kettle on. And why don't you tell the people about what's coming? I think you've
kind of done that already. So yeah, we've got that Underwater Cities video in the pipeline. We've got a couple Read the Card episodes with Simon. We filmed him continuing his playthrough of the Star Realms solo campaign. That was a Board Game Geek fan creation. And what else did he do recently? He did Flamme Rouge with its expansion, playing solo as well. A little bicycle racing game. And what else? We've got Flatline, with the two of us playing a real-time playthrough, live play of Flatline. So
there's quite a lot coming, so it's not all going to come next week.
Oh, no. Yeah, this will be staggered out and spread out, and the next one in the queue is Underwater Cities.
Because let me tell you, it might take an hour or 3 to actually film this thing, but it takes Jamie a week or 3 to do the post.
Or a month or 2, depending.
Because he's very, very precise and particular about the post, which I love because I think it's so professional and so well done. And I'm not the only one that thinks that, because I know others agree with me, even though I'm his mother and I'm just being very proud. But I know that they're good. And so I know that all these videos he's just told you about, I know they're all there in the edit suite. And so I happen to know that they will take quite some time to roll out onto YouTube land.
Because I need to do all my little cuts and edits and graphics and card overlays and pop-ups and
sound effects maybe.
Little text dialogue boxes to remind us when we make rules goofs, which is frequent.
I think a lot of people will identify with that. Yeah. You don't like rules goofs, so no, got to fix that.
I do my best to make the videos as useful as possible, and having them full of mistakes isn't exactly helpful.
So, Jamie, I have tea calling. So I'm off to put the kettle on, and I'm going to say thank you to our listeners for listening, because I just appreciate the fact that some people listen to this podcast because we want them to, because we want to share this with them. So I want to say thank you to you, and I would love it if you let us know in the comments or whatever. How does it work? Comments
on YouTube, or you can email thatboardgameshow@gmail.com.
So I'm going to ask people just to take a few moments and do that, because we'd love to hear back from people and see if they enjoy these podcasts, because we do them for them.
Send us your questions and your suggestions for merch.
Questions and suggestions. Right. Okay, thanks for listening. I'm off to put the kettle on. Bye.
And if you've enjoyed the show, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd head over to our Patreon page, where you can get early access to certain content, and there's a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes videos and so on and so forth, because that really, every little dollar helps to keep the show on the road and keep the content coming and buy games and keep our equipment up to date and all the things that are involved in pulling together this little media production world. And you can also support the show by becoming a YouTube member, where you can also gain access to that extra bonus content and buying our merch over on Spring. And when we have South African specific local merch, we will be linking that as well. And with that, I shall say thank you ever so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.